welcome back,
Good
everybody,
evening.
to Florida West Coast Fishing Report with Captain Mike Haynes. And today we have a special guest. Like I said, we're trying to bring some people in that have interesting stories to tell and things to talk about. So we got Collier Thornton today. And Collier, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
It was a great thing that we were able to meet you at ICAST. And I hope that turned out to be really good for you.
It did. We had a great ICAST and had a lot of follow-up, conversations with people we met like you. And so it was a good time.
And the biggest concern I had with ICAST this year, to be honest with you, I saw a lot of Korean and Chinese companies more than the last. Did you notice that, or that was me looking a little stronger?
It was our first. It was our first ICAST to participate. Because we're a relatively new company, and so I didn't have anything to compare it to. But
okay.
But in looking, initially looking at the booths, I did notice that.
Yeah, I noticed a little. It used to be real heavy, and then kind of backed away, and then I noticed that they're starting to come back a little bit. But the biggest thing is you have, and you call it Flashing Assassin Lures, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now tell me a little bit about how you got the idea to start this and what you think, because everybody's going to say, "Oh, it looks like a jig head to me" when we show pictures and all that. Tell me how you went about it to think about, I want to make this different. I want to make it really work.
Well, we are, and it's a story longer than we have time, but this actually started. I grew up in North Louisiana, so I'm a freshwater guy, by nature. And my grandfather used to take me crappie fishing, white perch fishing, and we would hand tie hair jigs, or buck tail jigs would be the equivalent in salt. And so out of the skirt of every jig that we would tie, he would put a little piece of silver holographic flash. And so we'd always catch fish, and Pap was my grandfather. And so one day we're driving back to the launch after catching fish, and he stops the boat. And he says, "You know the secret to catching all these fish?" And I said, "Yeah, Pap." And he says, "It's that silver flash." He said, "It gets their attention. They think it's swimming. This minnow is swimming in a bigger group of minnows, a bait ball of shad, or the, minnows." And so fast forward 35 years, I was fishing one day with hair jigs and they weren't working. I put a tube jig on that they were kind of lightly tapping. And on the way back home, I recalled this conversation, and I said, "I need a tube jig with flash. You either have to buy the expensive single hair jig or bucktail jig, or you buy a 5-pack, a 3-pack, or whatever it is in salt of just plain jig heads. I want the flash in the jig head." And so I figured out how to embed that holographic flash inside the lead. And so we start off with crappie and salt, because I now live here in Baton Rouge, South Louisiana. We've got a saltwater inshore jig, but this is what we have. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, we can put it. Hold on, put the pictures up on the screen.
So this is one piece of flash that actually goes up through the head. And so you can see flash in fresh or salt water, has been synonymous for years with catching fish. Nobody says, "Give me the dull, dark dull."
Yeah, give me the one that doesn't look like anything.
I want the one that they can't, that doesn't draw any attention. And they've tried to put flakes and stuff in the bodies, in the plastic, in the rubber, bodies, plastic bodies. But nothing gives the true holographic, when this thing has a prism almost, and it looks like, you can see it there in that picture. That's a good one. But and so as that thing is moving through the water, either a plastic body or actually a lot of people will take our 1/8 ounce and put, live bait if you're fishing it under a cork or something. But as as the live bait is moving around, that flash is just accentuated. And so we've got, in fact, we have a utility patent. We're the only ones that can embed a synthetic fish attractant in lead. It's so unique that we were able to get a utility patent here recently on it.
Oh, nice.
All right, good, cool. Now, one of the things, what size hooks? You got different size hooks on these things.
Yeah, we actually were in Academy in the Houston area and the South Louisiana area. We had a relationship with them for a couple of years. And so we, when we met with them initially, they kind of guided us. I think we've got a 2/0 in our 1/8 and 2/8, and then we've got a 3/0, I believe, in our 3/8 ounce. But it's a good steel hook. I've sent you some.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been able to fish with them yet, but it's a real durable hook, solid hook. It's thin enough where you can put live bait on it, but it's strong enough where it, you can catch some sizable fish. We've caught some big bull reds we were talking about earlier. We've caught some on a trip about a year ago, and the hooks, we didn't lose a fish. So
I can tell you, I'll let you know next month when I go to North Carolina.
Please do. Please do. So anyway, we've got, and I tell people, and I may have said this to you at ICAST, if you use it and you don't think it works, then cut it off, and guess what you've got? You've got what everybody else has. Why not give it a try?
Right.
And our design too, if you notice, the people like the triangular shaped head. That actually came about as kind of an accident because we wanted the Mylar or the flash to come out at its widest point when you put a plastic body on there. If this thing were a round head and the flash were straighter like that, as you put a rubber body on it, then it would would have a tendency to bend upward. So we've got a utility patent on the overall concept, but we've had design patents on the head as well. So it comes out its widest point, so you can put a tube on there. And we actually, on our saltwater, we were fishing the crappie strain. It was a thinner type of flash, and the trout were knocking it off. So we doubled the thickness of our saltwater, and it had a lot of success.
You've got it almost looks like you got made into a weedless hook too.
Yeah, a lot of people, sometimes it'll line up, it's long enough, and it actually is. I tell people it's also thick enough to be a weedless, but that wasn't the intention. The intention was was for the flash, but if in some cases it can, line up where that flash is over the barb of the hook and can, be weedless as well.
Does the Mylar change the wobble or anything on the jig as you're just kind of pulling it through? Say you have a swim jig on there instead. I mean, does it seem to affect anything or give it an extra little wobble?
Because when you're reeling it in, it's kind of behind the eye, the hook. We had a lot of, in fact, a lot of people have been buying it here recently for a bass swim jig and put a paddle tail shad or something like that on it. My son and I went fishing in a pond not long ago, and it runs true. That's a good question. It doesn't sink, when you bring it in, a lot of times if it isn't acting right, as soon as you pull it out of the water, it'll start unwinding. We don't have that.
Okay. So the Mylar's there enough, give it a little strength, but doesn't change the effect of the bait you're using.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
We hadn't had any issues with that.
So you've tried it with live bait and with the artificials on it.
We have.
Okay.
We have. And
I want to try them both. It's the problem we've had here. We've had storm after storm after every day. By 2:00, we're getting, where I'm at in this area, we're getting thunderstorms, lightning, high winds. And then it's so hot that we've just been kind of
Yeah,
Get-
this
You're
is-
get
not
caught
out
up on doing
in the
other
water by
things.
10.
Yeah, but we've used it. We've used it with both. The 1/8. We've got a 1/8. What's on the screen is a 1/4 ounce, but it just films a little better. Takes better. But the 1/8 we've used under we fish live shrimp. We've done croakers. All the saltwater stuff, and fished it under a cork, and it worked real well.
I just wonder how that would work with some nano tails, the real small tails for the winter months, the
Mhm.
1/8.
I
Yeah.
think you could.
Is that the lightest you make? You make a 1/8.
A 1/8 in our salt is our lightest. Now we have in the crappie, like I said, we've got we go as light as 1/32. But
Hey, that would work. We started to use that a lot down here in the winter months in the real shallows. The real lightweight to keep, because the fish are spookier and they're not really aggressive on big baits. So we've gone to a lot of the little.
thin stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Saltwater Assassin sent me a whole bag of all these little tiny tails. And let me tell you, the biggest redfish that I caught in this area, the biggest snook I caught in this area at the beginning of the year was in Chassahowiska, using a little tail, not even about 2 inches long and 1/32 of a head.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the river. And it was the coldest night in January, because we go down there for a weekend camp and go fishing. So that evening, we had just gotten there. I was at the dock, real low tide, real cold weather, nothing. And then we saw some ladyfish jumping. So I said, you know what? Let me try it. And I thought I got stuck on a log or something on the bottom. Then the log started to move.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a 36, almost 38-inch snook.
Now in our crappie, we fish. I take that back. We went to the Destin area, I guess a couple of years ago, when we were using like a 1/16 maybe or 1/32 under the docks. We were fishing at night under the lights, and we caught a whole bunch of trout. We didn't catch any redfish because we were fishing specifically, under the green lights. But we've caught on our crappie stuff. I mean, we've caught 4, 5, 6+ pound bass, before it catches them in that lip, and the hook withstood that. So I'm sure you could use it for,
Yeah, I mean, it's
salt.
like,
The only thing, like I said, the flash is half as thin, so you might
Use
might
it
knock
quick.
off a little easier. But they come in a 5-pack versus a 3-pack, and but we've used those. We caught a lot of fish that night, and on I think a 1/32, just a regular grub, 2-inch grub.
now, on the saltwater side, you said you kind of made it a little bigger and it's a little more reinforced into the jig head.
It's the same concept, so it loops through.
Mhm.
It's just twice as thick.
Okay.
So this, I don't have a crappie jig
Now,
nearby.
is that inserted into the lead or?
So that's inserted into the mold, and that's one piece that runs up in the lead. So so the middle of that piece of flash there would be about where the eyeball is.
Okay, so that's how far in it is.
So it runs all the way
All the
through.
way through. So it's
Pour the
actually.
lead on top of
Oh,
it.
okay. So it's just, it won't slide out.
No.
I guess what I was thinking.
When I started doing the crappie baits, originally I was putting in 2 different pieces, and I was putting the lead, and it had more of a propensity to come out. And then when I figured out you could loop it all the way through, so that's one piece, and it's twice as thick.
Right.
So, but no, that's completely inside the lead.
Okay. All right. All right. So
And that took about 2 years to figure out, and I set my house on fire. That's a true story. So, what the fire didn't get in the kitchen, the smoke got. But
oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's you got to have a lot of heat to keep that lead.
well, this was I I had to figure out how to paint them, and it came from the putting them in the oven.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a story for another day. So
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
are you are this because I've seen two ways to do jig heads, and I don't know. Some of them are painted, and some of them are dipped in a powder and then heated up.
we did. So what's interesting about this is, so I figured out how to do it with just the lead originally.
Mhm.
So you got the flash loop through, and then you've got a lead head, unpainted head. And so then I had to figure out how to paint it. And I was doing the powder paint, what you're talking about. So I had to reheat it, dip it in the powder paint, and then I had to hang it in a box and bake it. And what was interesting is, and this is all in the patent, but the box originally had some gaps. It had some, and the flash, when I would pull it out of the box, was wilted. It had wilted. And I figured out over time that condensed heat, so when you hang it in a totally enclosed box, condensed heat didn't wilt or melt the flash, but direct heat does.
Hmm.
I don't know
Okay.
why, but once I figured that out,
Interesting.
and I had a perfectly enclosed box, and I screwed the top on and put it in the oven for 15 minutes. Then I figured out how to put it in there, reheat it, dip it, paint it, put it in the oven for 15 minutes, and come out, and it was sticking straight up.
Oh, nice.
So how's what are you still doing that process, or are you
No,
painting
sir.
it?
No, I realized early on, if we were going to turn this into a business, I had to outsource that. So we're getting everything made overseas. They can just do it for, quite honestly, better and cheaper, much cheaper than we could do
Yeah.
it.
Gotcha.
But
So
But it
what locations is carrying your product now?
we're in, I hit probably about 6 or 7 main locations. We've got 5 or 6 in Louisiana, and then we got with distributors in New Mexico. We got a distributor, a couple in Texas, North Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri. We are North Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, some of the Panhandle. I started going straight to distributors. When you mess with dealers or retailers and distributors, then the distributors would start calling on people that had already stocked it. They had a relationship with, and so you kind of have to pick one or the other.
Right.
And so I went the distributor route last year, and we're probably in 13 states, maybe,
That's good.
give or take. Yeah. So,
if you got a good distributor, and this goes two ways, because I was in the wholesale business for a bunch of years, and then I went into the retail business. If you got, and a lot of them are, to me, if it's a good salesman and he knows his product, he can really be beneficial to you. Where a lot of times when you go direct, you're using like a rep agency.
right.
And I can tell you, over the years, I've got to meet a lot of rep agencies, and some of them, I told one guy one time, why are you repping this line if you don't like it? You're not trying to sell it, but it ain't fair to the company that you're representing because you're not making an effort to sell it.
Right.
But you don't like it. And that's what gets you in a, so here again, you got a rep agency that you think is going to go out there and knock on doors and try to open the door for you. And guy's got 20 different lines. And if yours is one that he don't particularly like, he ain't going to worry about it.
No, I set off right after ICATS last year. I made a loop through, Houston up to Waco. I went through Dallas up into Oklahoma, and then I did a trip, Missouri, Arkansas, over to Alabama. I did 3 trips, and nobody can sell your product like, I've got 3 years of envisioning this thing and making it come to fruition. And so nobody can sell your product like you can,
Right.
And so I established all those relationships, and it's been good. We're getting ready to get heavy into, right now we've just got jigs. We ordered we had such a big order because of Academy, and that's another story. But and so I've got a bunch of these jigs in stock, and I realized that we needed to have multiple products. We'd be I guess more appealing is probably the best word if we had spinnerbaits and bass jigs and offshore and et cetera, et cetera. And so what we're doing now is I've kind of taken a step back, and we're doing, for example, here's another. This started out as a weedless bass jig, but this is in colored flash. I think I sent you some of these.
Yep.
And it's got a nice V hook on there. I don't know if
Right.
you see that.
I like that particular one. I think that's going to be my favorite.
And so that started off as a weedless bass lure, ironically enough. And but it was kind of hard to sell because typically when you're fishing that setup, the weight and the hook kind of work independently, and the weight kind of sits down on top of the hook, if you're following me.
Mhm.
You can separate the hook and put it in the worm to make it weedless.
Right.
Since ours is all one component, your hook is embedded inside the lid, then it's a weedless jig and worm. It's kind of a quasi, like we kind of combine two different styles of lures. And so the bass fishermen it's been kind of odd. There's the one on the screen right there. We've got a real neat, we call it, this started out as a bass lure. It's crazy looking. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was probably behind those weedless lures that we had a lot of interest from people in the saltwater at ICAST. This was probably the second. This is that flash loops all the way up through the jig head. So that goes all the way up in there, and that's a triple skirt. And that right there, we just had some samples, but I've given that to a lot of redfish fishermen.
That's what I was
I
going
was
to
gonna
tell
say,
you.
it looks like a good redfish.
I think that would make a tremendous redfish lure.
And
Yeah,
so,
I really would.
and I've had, in
Upward color,
fact,
too.
about two weeks ago, my phone started blowing up. It was a gentleman I'd given some lures to, and or some of these spinnerbaits to, and he just kept sending me pictures of redfish that he was catching. I was like, don't make me jealous. So sorry, my phone's beeping. So we're kind of in the let me turn this off. We're kind of in the development phase, if you will. So like the gold, this started out as a single layered skirt, and now that's a triple layered skirt. You can't see it. So that's 3 skirts, 3 pieces of sheet flash that loop up through the head so that's all in the lead. Instead of being a single piece that comes out, that's a sheet that goes up through the lead, if you're following me. And so that we're setting that one aside. That one we know will sell. We've had a lot of success. Like we put it in the water, I put it in people's hands, and they've had success catching redfish. So
I think it would make especially with that little spinner on it.
Yeah. That'd be definitely a good search bait for redfish.
And we beefed up. You can't see it here, but we've got that eye on it. Instead of typically got a U so we've got a line holder. We did right there. We beefed up. We've got a swivel holding the lure on, or the head on. And so that's about the 4th or 5th. We kept going back and improving it, and we improved the skirt. We improved all the hardware on it. And so we're doing the same thing with spinnerbaits and bass jigs. And then we're going to launch, once we have everything the way we want it, we're going to let's mass produce these 30 lures. And then we're going to do a big, marketing campaign coming soon. And, but anyway, we've got a lot of neat stuff outside of the jigs. We've got a lot of neat stuff coming down the pipe. So
I'm looking forward, and we'll have a bunch to show and everything else at the Tampa Boat Show in September. Mike, he's sending us so we can have it at the boat show.
Oh, nice.
And now, is there besides the stores, do you have it on the internet where they can buy it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's Flashin with an N, Flashin, FLASHIN, assassin.com.
Okay.
So it rhymes, Flashin Assassin, and no G, but flashingassassin.com. And we've got our, the jigs up there. And we do not have the spinner baits because those are sample form, but I'm trying to get some made for you guys that you can.
Especially in
Red
North
fish.
Carolina. I want to try that.
Yeah. And so we've got a silver one too that's done.
Gold is going to be the big color down here.
Well, gold that gold has been I've got 12 samples and I fished it some in bass. And then I said, you know what? I bet this would be a good salt. So I put it in the hands of a few people that said, I'll use it and I'll throw it. I'll give you, because when you make samples and you put it in people's hands, you don't know if they throw it a couple times and, I didn't catch any fish.
So they
And
put
so I prepped them ahead of time and said, look, if everybody else is throwing this and you're catching fish on this, will you commit to throwing ours? And a couple of guys said they would. And they were catching fish, and a lot of times catching fish in cases where the other people in the boat weren't. But the gold and the salt has been really good. And then I'll be interested in seeing how you like these, on your offshore stuff. So
I just wonder how they would do with like mangrove snapper and some of those.
Yeah.
And we'll start filming offshore in October. We'll start filming the offshore shows for next year in October.
We were supposed to go on a trip out of Destin. A guy had some dolphin, some chicken dolphin. He had some, I don't know what he had, but they were fairly close in. And we were supposed to go out and get some good footage here a few months ago. And a storm, one of those storms you were talking about
Yeah.
Now Destin, see, what's good about Destin is you only go out half a mile and you're already in 200 feet of water.
I'm going to say, yeah, Destin, if you really want to try those lures and just see the power of them or the durability of them, have somebody go out there and catch you some little tunies. Chase those little tunies around, and I guarantee you, even on light line, it's gonna put it to the test. It's something I used to take my clients out to do when we were bored with the inshore. Just go catch a bunch of little tunies on light tackle, and it'll destroy something if you want it to. So, yeah.
Well, Captain just got back from a trip in Hopedale, but we went, if you go all the way down to Venice, which is, you literally run your boat into the Mississippi River and run the river out into the Gulf, which is really, it's kind of a neat trip.
We were actually at one time, I think the second day we were fishing, we could see the Delcroix water tower. But I mean, Hopedale, let me tell you, you're talking about being rural.
Yeah. No,
the closest gas station was 18 miles because
it's what's interesting about Venice is all species. I mean, they're in that brackish water. You can go down there and catch 100 bass, and they're not giants, but you'll catch 3 or 4 pound. 2 to 4 pound.
We caught a couple of bass in this trip with shrimp under the float, but we didn't pay attention to it because we were concentrating on the redfish.
Well, here in Louisiana, at the coast, you got all species, which is really, it's just kind of neat because they can't go any further. They get out into the Gulf if they go another mile or so. But we went and caught a bunch of tuna. This is before I was in the lure business, but yeah, Louisiana's got some really neat. You can almost, in fact, that's one of the drawbacks has been you can throw a tennis shoe out there with a shrimp on it and catch, in Louisiana, they're spoiled.
And I'll tell you what, we hooked onto a big, we hooked a gator. He came and actually took the shrimp off the float on the hook, and we fought him for a little bit and he cut us off. And then we had the biggest gar I've ever seen. And when he got next to the boat, he stuck his head out and he cut through the line, but it was a big gar. I mean, this sucker was big.
We've got them here. We got gators and gars and, and redfish and bass. And so they call it Sportsman's Paradise for a reason, because you can catch just about anything. But
You touched on something just a little bit earlier. Does Academy have your lures?
they did. I had a relationship. That's a long story, but so Academy has a buyer that's over terminal tackle.
Right.
And so I had a relationship. This is in 23. I had a relationship with the guy who was stocking all the terminal tackle for 24. And so we had a deal. He sent me a spreadsheet, said, here are all the stores you're going to be in. And then a month later, he says, I'm moving over to Marine Division, but my replacement knows about you and will stock you and honor our agreement. And he didn't. And
Oh man.
Yeah.
so we got stocked in half the stores late, made it to the pegs in about a quarter of the stores. And so I've had all this inventory based on our original deal.
Right.
And it was just I guess a communication error. And I didn't know his replacement. So
Well, and I tell you,
but
too many people put all their eggs sometimes in one basket. And like I said, coming from the wholesale side when I was younger, and I ran a big wholesale division, you never wanted only a percentage of your sales you wanted with the big stores, because we had a guy over here, Mike, probably way before your time, but remember I'm trying to think of the brand, the green plastic pliers with the cushion grip.
Oh yes.
This was 20 years ago, 18 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I can see them.
Yeah. I mean, this guy came out with these like plastic pliers that were really good, cutting with a cutter with cushion grips and another item. And he tied all his money up because Bass Pro Shop placed a huge order, except a little fine print. Bass Pro Shop had the right after 6 months, if it didn't meet their expectations, to return all the leftover inventory. And he basically put all his money to make all this product for all these bass stores. And they bought this huge quantity. And man, at the end of 6 months, they came to him and he had to take back like $80-something thousand worth. He went in his garage and.
Oh, he did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was in the real estate business, commercial real estate development for years. And I was heavily invested in 08, 09, when, and so I've been through tough. We were talking about it off the air, but people are like, because I'm 51. We started this thing in my late 40s, early 50s. People have said, are you crazy? And I said, how can you have a bad day making fishing lures? I mean,
if that's what you want.
I'm having a great time. I mean, I'm doing, some days you're kind of rubbing two nickels together because it's taken, anytime you start, and that's what I was trying to tell my sons, you start a business and you're starting a new concept, and there was so much money that went into the patent and the R&D and and figuring everything up overseas. And, you go 3 years, 2 years, 2.5 years without making a dime, everything's going out. And so it can be tough, but the hard part is behind us. And I've been extremely blessed where we've got a neat product that works.
We really want to thank you for coming on board. We got 5 fishing reports we got to get on the last 25 minutes or so. But give us one more time if they want to go to your website so they can look at everything, and then they can figure out whether they got a dealer in the area or if they just want to place an order directly.
Just place an order with us. Yeah, it's FLASHIN, Flashin' Assassin, ASSIN.com. Flashin' Assassin.
All right. And thank you, Collier. We appreciate it. And make sure for the boat show that we get all this stuff, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go have a beignet in Catfish Town for me.
I will. We need to catch up on those stories.
All right. God bless you, man. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.
All right. But that was good to have Collier on. It was really good. One of the things, did you see about some of the proposed rule changes for golf lane snapper?
I have not yet.
Yeah, you
What
know,
you
I
got?
think lane snapper now it's actually there was no limit. That means 100 pounds,
Right.
and it's 8 inches. Let me just double check it before I put my mouth in gear and say something wrong. But I think
Is it 8 or 10?
it was 8 inches. It's been 8 inches for lane snapper. Let's see here, snapper, because if it's not even shown. So I think it was 8 inches and up to 100 pounds, I think. Well, they're talking about making it going to 10 inches, which is, I think is great. An 8-inch lane snapper, there ain't no meat on it. And then making it a 20 fish per person recreational
Oh, really?
bag limit.
So when is that supposed to go in effect?
Well, it says in the August meeting that they just had, FWC approved a proposed rule change for lane snapper in Florida Gulf state waters to be more consistent with current and pending federal regulations. So the proposed modifications of the lane snapper in Gulf waters include increasing the commercial and recreational size limit from 8 to 10 total length, establishing a 20 fish per person recreational bag limit. Now, here's a little part that always catches. You notice it says establishing a 20 fish per person recreational bag limit. It don't tell you what for commercial.
Right. No, it never does.
I know.
Never
So
will.
if you think that, well, we might have a problem, I agree with this. Let's make it 20 per people. Yeah, come on. You know, so the species can keep growing, get better. But now if they don't put a limit on how many the commercial guys can keep, what have you done? You haven't done anything.
No, and again, the more rules and regulations they throw out there, it hurts more of the recreational and the
It always does.
charter captains more than it does the commercial, and that's where you have the lobbyists involved in that. And it's almost like there's separate rules for commercial versus recreational, and to me that just doesn't make sense.
And that's what worries me. I noticed that on there it says establishing, but it doesn't say anything for the commercial guys. So that means commercial guys are just got to go to 10 inch, but they're going to catch all they want. Well, what good is that doing? I mean, I don't know, honestly, an average guy that goes out and tries to keep 100 lane snapper.
No,
I don't see that.
there are very, very few that would. Not only that, unless you're in the right places to catch them. I mean, you're not. I don't know that as many times I've caught lane snapper that I've probably even got up to 100.
I mean, I've caught them most of the time. We let them go.
Yeah,
unless the people want to eat a few.
Right. I mean, anytime that we were offshore in Pensacola, I mean, you'd catch a few here and there, but there would be nothing of the numbers of, 100 pounds that you would get from one place. But 20 fish per person, again, to me, they're doing it just like they did the red snapper. I mean, it's the recreational guys that suffer for the lack of regulations on the commercial. Because honestly, if you take the commercial out of it, who can have those long lines, drop these long lines all the way down, anything that comes up pretty much goes in the cooler because you're not going to revive it.
No.
So any size that you catch down there, it goes in the box. So
or it goes to the bottom dead.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I think if they're going to post rules and regulations like that for recreational, I think the commercial needs to be on there as well. And maybe that's the reason why there's not a big public outcry, is because people have no idea that is happening. We get our limits and stuff, but they have no idea what's going on the commercial side.
Well,
and if people understood
this
that,
is why I say, when you read this stuff, the average guy says, "Oh, okay, 20 per person." Guys, keep reading. Where does it say what the commercial quota was set at? They didn't change it.
No.
So now, did you see what Donald put on there? According to CCA Star, that he has 72 entries and still no tag redfish by a registered angler. Can you believe that?
That's very, very odd. Very odd. And how long we got? How many days left is it?
Not much, about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's it.
So,
Well,
geez,
hey, we better let's get Tony Franklin's fishing report in.
go for it.
Hi, Captain Tony Franklin back with you once again with this week's fishing report. The fishing this week has been really good. The mackerel bite has really been pretty strong this week, primarily around the range markers. They're also around grass flats, 6 to 8 feet of water, a lot of the grassy areas. They're around deeper water shoals that meet up against sandbars. Been good action on the mackerel. Once again this week, the trout action has been spectacular. Once again, 6 to 8 feet of water. The biggest key being you want to get in the grassy areas. There's been silver trout, there's been spotted sea trout, so that once again the trout action has been really great. The snook bite's been pretty decent this week, although it's been hit or miss. Redfish have been around up against the mangroves on the higher tide, tucked right in. Been really good action on bonnethead sharks this week. Been a few black tips around, so the bonnethead's been out there for action. There's been Jack Crevalle around, been ladyfish, so there's been just quite a bit of action. The biggest key is to get out early, like I say in the past weeks on the report. Get out early, get off the water early before it gets too hot, because once it does, after about noon, the bite basically shuts way down. So that's my report for this week. Tight lines, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Tony.
I just responded to Donald's thing, just saying, where are the tagged redfish? Or maybe there's not enough registered anglers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, because there's been a few redfish tag caught. But
There
not
have
on
been,
registered-
yeah,
not
the
on
ones that are
registered anglers.
tagged, yeah, they've caught. There just haven't been entries in it. And I don't know if it's just lack of entries. I'm not sure why, but it's very, very surprising.
'Cause, I mean, this thing is going to be over with, and it's I just can't understand it.
Mhm.
And
On
maybe
that
somebody
note-
that's tuning in can give us a reason why. Not enough registered anglers. That's what Donald says.
Yeah, that's got to be it. On another note, which I didn't put in my report, which I don't know, I didn't think about it till afterwards, but I think this is the second time that I have ever caught, or a client has ever caught, a redfish without any spots.
Really?
Yeah, I got a picture of it.
Yeah,
It'll be
that's kind
in
of
my
real
report.
rare.
Yeah. So yeah, that happened this past week. One of my regular clients pulled up a redfish, no spots, and then yet I think it was about an hour earlier I caught one with 7 on it. So it was different. I'm not sure what the reason.
It's Mother Nature,
is
man.
that.
Mother
I've
Nature.
I've heard, those are the ones that come from the hatcheries that they release, and
Right.
sometimes there's a little genetic bobble in that too. So I'm not sure, but it was very interesting.
It sounds like. Well, let's get Jim Pace fishing report.
Hey guys, this is Jim with the Pasco County Fishing Report. Didn't get out as much as I wanted to the past week. We actually had an Ohio vacation with the family past weekend. My son actually went out on a charter walleye fishing in Lake Erie with a family member. They had a great time. I attached a picture of their catch. Super good, different type of fishing, that's for sure. As far as fishing goes down here, it's been interesting with these water temps getting to 93, 92. Successful days so far have been coming on in the morning or in the evening, just like normal. In the evening with the outgoing tide has been the best. That's what we've been getting the best on. We got into some really big snook the other evening. I got a picture attached of those. One of them was 38 inch. We were catching those on smaller, I shouldn't say smaller, but grunts and ladyfish. Just letting them float out there and just waiting for the bite. It was kind of boring fishing, but the results happened. Redfish as well. The redfish bite has been towards the mouth of these outgoing rivers and inlet kind of areas. We've been just using cut bait and just letting it sit out from the mangroves. They haven't really been up in the mangroves as much. So we've just been letting cut bait sit on the bottom, right where the water transitions out, where it gets a little clearer. All this rain has a lot of this water moving out of the inlets, and it's really dark in the water again. So we're trying to find some clear water, and the fish have been there every single time. Baby tarpon, smaller tarpon, 20, 40 pounders in the area lately. Gulf Harbor's inlet has just been stacked with them. Front of Cody River has been great. Just floating whitebait as well. Larger whitebait tends to get the tarpon to really get fired up when you're throwing out some chummers. As far as trout goes, catching a few trout here and there, just as bycatch, to be honest. It was usually where I'm hitting snook, I'm getting the trout. It's been very limited as far as how many trout, but they've been pretty large when we do catch them. 18-inch, 19-inch, 20-inch trout sitting in those same areas. As far as bait goes, if you're trying to find ladyfish, now's the time to go get them. Right outside, 8, 9, 10 foot of water on a rock pile, throw a little bit of chum out, and you'll have 30, 40 ladyfish right underneath your boat. They've been super easy to catch. I've just been putting them in my freezer and freezing them for a later date, because that's one of the best baits for redfish and big snook on the beaches. Other than that, Hudson area has been really good for trout right there at the beginning of where the Hudson, I think they call it Hudson Creek, is right there. There've been good trout there. Also, there's been good snook action right inside that Hudson Creek area as well. So if you want to get up in that area, that's good as well. Same thing, just white bait on a bobber or white bait just on a free line. It's been working really good. And if you want redfish, cut bait's the way to go. That's all I got for this week. I'll see you guys next week.
And thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep, that was good. And Donald said maybe we ought to try to get Lisa on the show. I tried to get her one time, but she was busy. And just to find out, what's going on. And he said
she was just here last Monday. She was at the Nature Coast Anglers speaking. I missed it because obviously we're doing the show.
Yeah.
But she was up here just last week.
So I don't know. I mean,
maybe I can reach out to her and find out.
Yeah. Talk to her to see if we can
Sure.
get her, to see if you can bring her on the podcast.
Yeah.
And next Monday we have, it's the last guest that we have for this month. Next Monday, we have Boat Eye 360, which is a night vision cameras for your boat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean,
They giving out free samples?
I wish, but I'm trying to bring people from all different areas that's got related to fishing and boating and everything else. Just to have something else. We do pretty good, but especially this time of the year, a lot of guys are on vacation, and it's just so hot on the water. A lot of them don't want to do charters. They got.
I'm so
the other stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with the hot weather. I'm so looking forward to the fall. Yeah, it's getting there. And as Jim was talking about those trout coming up, more than likely you've got those bigger trout in there because that moon, those bigger females will come in to breed during that moon phase about every 6 weeks.
All right, well, let's get Jessica fishing report.
Hey guys, Captain Jessica Hanovic with the Old Hookem Charters out of Chaz. I had a trip to this morning. We just got back home. So first thing this morning, we used some top water. Had a couple of blow-ups on snook, nothing committed to it. When I went to the bait store this morning, the shrimp were tiny. So I didn't even bother. We just got frozen mullet. Try to swing them as high as you can to those mangroves when it's super high like that. Caught a few decent reds. For me, the trout are surprisingly coming more and more into the backcountry. Caught a couple of nice ones of those today. For the snook, I would just look for points, moving water, redfish, look for that mullet. Trout, you can go out to the flat. For me, I've been catching them more in. I hope everybody can get out, have fun, make some memories, catch some dinner. Tight lines. You can book a trip with me at 352-464-7309, or you can message me through Facebook. Tight lines.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jessica.
Jessica.
We appreciate it. And let's get Michael Dawson on, because then we got yours, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
So let's get Michael Dawson on.
Hi guys, Captain Michael Dawson here, Patriot Guide Service, here at this week's fishing report and forecast for the Anklet region. So it's been a little slower trip-wise this last week. Kids going back to school, hot temperatures, but the days we've been getting out, the fishing has been very, very good. Main two targets we've been doing this week have been redfish and juvenile tarpon. All this fresh water hitting the system for all these afternoon storms. The redfish bite and the tarpon bite is going to continue to get better. This fresh water hits the system, they get flushed out of the little backwaters and creeks and canals, and you can see these fish concentrate toward the mouth of any of the rivers. Whether it be the mouth of the Anklet, the Cody, Gulf Harbors, any little canals, these fish will congregate around the mouths just where that fresh water is dumping out of the system and pushing all those bait fish out of there. Tarpon been eating big white bait, free line, so kind of find these fish where it's looking at your side scan, see them rolling, see them busting some baits, and throw a free line white bait out at them. And the redfish have been primarily a cut bait fishery, the water temperature being almost 90 degrees. Throw some cut bait on your favorite flats. What's great about this time of year is they will venture out onto the flats early morning, so instead of catching them up under the mangroves or on the structure, you can throw a lot of cut bait out in the middle of the flat and you can do some good redfishing then. Lots of trout still around, showing back up I should say. Kind of strange to see them this time of year, but there's been a lot of trout on all the oyster beds and mangrove shorelines. Eating freeline whitebait or whitebait under a bobber again, and a few snook and jacks mixed in as well. Bite's been pretty good. If you can get out there and can deal with the heat, it's been great. If you're looking to get out there and give the kids a break from school, let's go fishing, and it should be a good time. Captain Michael Dawson, Patriotic Guide Service.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
And Mike, I want to show something a minute before we go to your fishing report, but hold up, put that picture of that wreck that I sent you. I was playing around with Fish Reveal.
Yeah,
This is a
you
wreck
sent me that.
that's in Tampa Bay that I've had on for 25 years. I found it 25 years ago. It's a barge. So
Yeah.
I actually went, I knew, I know where it's at. So I actually went with Fish Reveal in that area and started looking.
Uh-huh.
And Hota, did you find it? You got to see the detail on this thing.
Yeah.
It's I hope he finds it.
Yeah, you sent it up. You sent it early. I didn't get a chance to look at it.
I mean, it's so detailed because I know I've seen it with my my CMAP, and it's just like a blur, something sitting on the bottom. But this thing is scary, how good it is. And I had about 8 or 10 people call me and said, well, it's a little pricey. It's $25 a month or $200 for the year. So I was talking to Dave, and he said, well, Sergio, they can get it for a month.
Yeah.
And get all their numbers, turn it off. And then if they're not going to go back out fishing for 3 or 4 months, they can turn it on for a month. He said, but realistically, you can go out. If you do like I did, sit at home, because you do it from your house and just mark all these spots. And it gives you the lat long and everything. And then you can go out there.
Yeah.
Heck, in a month, you can get 50, 60 waypoints out of it. It'd be worth the money, But
How long is that barge?
It's pretty, it's about a 20 by 40, something like that. Hota, did you find it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
I sent you a picture.
It's on the WhatsApp.
It's on the WhatsApp. Okay, it's a picture.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, because that's being able to see that and see how it lays, what you're going to be looking for, and that way you can, when you're bringing your boat over it, you can kind of say, "Oh yeah, that's it. There you go."
I mean, the thing is, it's just so detailed. And I tell you, I've been playing around with it at night. I got 79 spots marked already inside Tampa Bay.
Hey, give me some spots over there by Fort DeSoto for my trip every year at Memorial Day. I need to I need to find some new areas.
I'll give you some of the numbers that I got. Some numbers just outside of Egmont that
There you go.
I haven't tried them, but I'll
There
give
you
you
go.
the lat long. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. I can go check them out for you.
So I guess Hota couldn't find them, but so while he's looking, let's get your fishing report in.
Sure.
See if we can get.
I can hear him trying.
Yeah. See if we get.
Yeah. By the way, Stacy. Good evening, everybody. Captain Mike Haynes, Fishbones Charters out of Crystal River, Florida. Well, the fishing is still pretty good. Redfish, especially the redfish bite, is just pretty much nonstop. And you either got two choices on it. Try to get early morning, obviously. Try to get a day where the tide's incoming. I know a lot of people can't pick their day to go fishing, but if you can, try to get an incoming tide early morning, and it seems to be working the best bite. Finding these schools of redfish, and it could be 20, 30 or more, but just kind of cruise around either with a trolling motor or very slow idling, and if you've got a platform or something, just kind of step up on it and just kind of look for these fish. Look for hard bottom around the islands. It seems to be the key. They don't really like sticking in that grass, and reason being is if you're out there scalloping as well and you kind of find those scallops down in the grass, you reach down at the bottom of that grass, it's warmer water. Those grass kind of hold that heat. So a lot of these fish, especially in the summertime, will kind of key in on those harder bottoms. There's just more water flow. It's a little cooler. So pay attention to those. As the tide comes in, they're going to be moving toward the mangroves. We've had some pretty high tides because of the moons. So as it comes in, you're moving to the mangroves, finding the shadow side, pitching up underneath the trees with live or dead bait. Seemed to be that it really didn't matter to us whether it was live or whether it was cut. But I think the biggest key was making sure that bait was staying in that position. So a lot of times we change the jig heads, either 1/4 ounce or 1/8 ounce, just keeping that pinfish still in that area because the fish just really weren't wanting to chase. So if you had some current as well, just kind of kept that bait steady and sitting still in one area for those fish to find it. And when we're fishing the trees, I will only spend about 20 minutes on a tree. If I'm not getting a bite within 20 minutes, I'm out. Just keep moving. And that seemed to be what happened on Thursday. We were out there and found a tree and caught 3 fish right away, and then it just kind of stopped. Well, we moved to another tree, caught a couple more fish, then it stopped. Moved to another tree, caught a couple more fish, and then just kept doing that. And that seemed to be the pattern on Thursday. It was higher tide, had more water. So we just kept moving tree to tree to tree and wouldn't spend more than 20 minutes on it. And we also busted out to the reefs, the rocks and the reefs out there. They are producing some excellent sized grunts, some good mangrove. Every once in a while, a little grouper here and there, some sea bass. The reefs are still very productive. But if you do know where a rock is, one of the key things about the rocks here in Crystal River is if you do know where it's at, approach it very, very slowly and keep your distance, because once they know the boat's there, a lot of these fish go up underneath those ledges in those cracks and crevices and they don't come out. So approach them very, very slowly, keep your distance, and your hookup ratio will be much, much better. Scalloping till September 24th. Plenty of scallops out there that are a little deeper, but most everybody's catching between 6 to 10 gallons of scallops. So we got still much time. It's been a good year, and come on out. Give us a call. This is Captain Mike Haynes, Fishbones Charters, Crystal River, Florida. We'll see you next week.
Good job, Mike.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. So what happened to Stacy? She forgot?
No. She's had some personal issues to have to deal with. So, yeah. But I've been in touch with her and told her, just don't worry about it. We'll get her next week.
Hey,
so.
That just happens, you know. And Hota, if you can't bring it up. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
Now look at that picture, guys. And I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but if you got on my phone, and I tell you how impressed I was with this. I went out and bought me an iPad tablet, 11-inch, So I could sit in my living room well, you know what? It's going to pay for itself. Mike,
Yeah.
if I can find out of 100 and 200, if 30 or 40 of these ledges and rock piles and all that work for me, I got my money's worth.
Mhm.
I got more than
Yeah,
my money's
yeah.
worth.
Oh, well.
I mean, look at that barge, how clear it shows up. I
Mhm.
mean, it's so detailed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
Well,
like just some blurry thing on the bottom.
yeah. Trust me, I'm looking forward to, or like he said, he's gonna next year, implement getting into shallower water and do these areas up here in the bend and everything. And that'd be really interesting to find, to see what's out there.
Just
It
look
would-
how clean that looks. You can see it.
Yeah.
Perfect. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I hate to
like I
say
say, you
it.
can tell which position it is,
Yeah.
how big it is, how far off the ground it is. So
Yeah, it's perfect.
and it's not buried. Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but we're out of time again. But every time we have a guest
Yeah,
speaker,
there we go.
time goes by pretty fast.
It does.
So don't forget to tell all your friends, listen in. The ones that can't watch it tonight, you can watch it later on YouTube or Facebook. Fishing Florida West Coast Fishing Report with me, Captain Sergio, and Captain Mike Haynes out of Crystal River. And if you got anybody you think will be somebody good to bring in on a Monday night that's got some good information that's related to boating and fishing, we'd love to have them on.
Yep.
Send me or Mike their contact number, and we'll give them a call.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yep. And like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook.
That's right.
Like and subscribe.
And thank you, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
Thank you guys. Have a
Take
good
care.
week.
Bye-bye.